down.
All right. Welcome to our October edition of Dinner with the Devs. This is your host, Wayne Waite Jr. with the marketing team of Schell Games. I have some lovely developers here. We are going to talk about horror, what horror games are, how you make a horror game, what their favorite horror games look like, and then finally, what type of horror games are they playing. So first, we're going to introduce ourselves. We'll start with my left on the far side, and we'll work our way around.
Hey everybody, I'm Doyle Daigle. I'm a UI UX designer here at Schell Games.
Hi, I'm Chris Hatch. I'm a game engineer here at Schell Games.
Hey, I'm Tyler. I'm an artist.
I'm Rachel. I'm currently dressed as Chidori from Persona 3, and I'm a game engineer.
Excellent. So we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about, but before that, just some housekeeping. If there are any audio issues, issues with the stream, please put it down in the chat so we can get that figured out to have a good experience. So first, whenever you guys think about horror games or games that supposedly scare you, what elements of a horror game come to mind?
Jump scares.
Yeah,
Jump
scares, like atmosphere,
Atmosphere.
gore is typically a thing,
Yeah.
Lots and lots of gore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Zombies.
Okay, zombies. What about you, Pierce? What do you think?
Yeah, same thing, jump scares, but even just like anticipation and like, they're noticeably more sparse than any other game I ever play. You always feel alone, it seems to be is like a common theme.
Okay.
Most of the time it's just you in like a big open world or a big world where there's just like something else out there and you have like no defenses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So that sense of loneliness could be pretty scary. Oh, we're getting deep quickly.
Conveniently also cheaper.
Yeah, no, it is conveniently
It's
cheaper.
good for devs.
I mean, Slender Man was probably like a $5 budget and like it was golden.
Yeah.
And now they have like 3 games.
Community asset
movies,
store,
and-
turn the ambient light to
Yeah,
stand.
that's the whole
Ship
thing.
it.
They've got
No.
real murders for that.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of real stuff they could draw from.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
I think we were talking about earlier before that we went live, but like it's weird how the current generation of horror games is so defined by like YouTubers freaking out. Like I can't think of a big successful
Yeah.
horror game in this gen that doesn't have that component.
I think because it's fun to watch people get scared,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't want to get scared.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
streamers works really well for that because you get to experience the game,
Yeah, but you're
and
not.
you have the entertainment of them getting scared, and you yourself aren't getting freaked out.
Yeah.
This might be like, do you guys get frustrated? I love horror games.
Yeah.
And I always recommend horror games. Like I like to Greg's up there playing Beat Saber, like, yo, you gotta play this horror game. And he's like, it's too scary.
Yeah. It's
No.
gonna be-
Yeah.
it's really intense though, right?
Yeah.
Like I understand that it's not for everybody because
Yeah.
like you're putting yourself in like this bad situation and forcing yourself to get through it. Like why would
Yeah.
you do that to yourself as a human being? It's a
I-
weird thing,
You're
right?
like, yeah. And when I talk about it, you'll be like, yeah, I played through it. It's pretty good. And I'm like, really? I played 4 hours, and I stop, get a coffee, like,
Yep.
get to make the shakes go away. And I'm like, oh, but you would never tell someone like in your review of the game, like, yeah, I was shaking really bad. Like, you really got it. You're like, huh, so okay.
Look, I slept with the lights on for 3 days, but it's a good game. Yeah.
Can't face away from the window now. Always be facing out.
That actually happened. Like I played a horror game with my friends like way back when, and then I got like calls from their mom because they were like, "Oh my God, what did you do to her?" Like she's like she can't sleep, and she heard like her younger brother like going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. She just started crying, and she was like so super terrified. I didn't think it would have like that much of a lasting effect on
It's
her.
like,
Yeah, I
good.
was just
It's like, got it.
yeah, just as planned. Yeah.
Working as designed. Cool. What game was it? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't really remember what it was. Because I feel like I tried to make them play a lot of like horror
Probably
games.
Majora's Mask.
And we also like watched a lot of horror movies, I remember. Or I attempted to make them watch a lot of horror movies.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember we watched Oh my god, The Ring?
Okay.
But it was the American version, so apparently it's not as scary as the Japanese one.
No, I mean I remember being 10. That was some scary
What?
stuff.
The Ring?
That was terrifying when I was.
The American Ring?
Every time you look
Yeah.
at your TV,
Oh
you're like,
my
it's
God.
coming.
Yeah, that's true.
The static.
She's gonna get me!
That's like gore movie. That has a scene with the closet. Oh my god.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just left all my clothes on the floor.
Never
Never go in the closet again.
Oh my God. No, I think anything that has to do with like body horror like freaks me out the most.
Okay.
But like yeah, other things aren't as bad. But yeah, I think in The Ring they pull out this like hair from like her eyeball
Mhm.
and it's like super long and like the entire time it's just like no.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, well, I hated
Yeah.
that because I just hate like people with like touching like my eye. Like,
Oh, yeah, my
like that's
eye.
just so incredibly creepy to me. So
Yeah.
whenever I'm watching it now, I was cringing.
Whoa.
Have you seen Audition?
What's up?
Have you seen Audition?
I have not seen
Audition.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah. It's got a lot of needles and relevant
Oh.
content.
Oh, come
yeah.
on.
I cannot do needles.
No. Oh, needles and eyes. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I've been like, I don't know why. I guess it's Halloween, but I was like, I'm reading some Junji Ito. He's like a manga
yeah,
artist.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh my god, his stories are kind of normal, scary stories, but his art is so solid. He'll be like, yeah, he had holes in his skin. That's not scary. And then like turn the page like a full like photorealistic thing of a hole like in someone's skin over like, oh god.
Yeah.
It's
So,
so-
if you have like what is it,
yeah.
trypophobia or
Oh my
whatever,
God.
and then you just you can't handle the entire page.
Yeah, it's the only
Oh
only
my
time
God.
I've ever seen like illustrated body
Oh.
horror
Uh-huh.
that is super disturbing. It's
Dude,
just so well rendered.
It's super weird to draw stuff like that. Like, we're gonna talk a little bit about my game, but
Yeah.
like when I was working on that, like I did all the body, like chopped up bodies,
Yeah.
and like to
Oh.
sit there just painting like very detailed, like intestines ripped
Yeah.
out, like an
Oh,
arm. I'm
my.
like, oh, what does that look like? You know, like I got the bone. You know, like
Google
what am I
search.
doing right now?
Google search. Dismembered body. Click.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm on a
Don't wanna do
list.
that.
I'm on some of it.
Knocking on your door. Sir,
Sir,
open up.
Why are you searching dismembered
Yeah.
body?
We have a warrant.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
It's disturbing that drawing that stuff and like
Yeah.
like that guy like where it's super detailed.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what that means about his
He must have so
mind.
much reference and
That's
yeah.
all he does all the time.
Yeah.
But like you feel like messed up drawing it. I
Well,
was
you-
like, I want to get through this.
He must, because like when I was researching, because I've only seen his stuff on like Imgur as like translated.
Mhm.
He has one book that's like, it's me and my wife living with cats. And it's like really happy. Like, all
Oh,
right, dude, it is
yeah.
getting to you. I
Going
see.
I don't know, like whenever you hear about some of those people, like for example, whenever we talk about like horror books,
Yeah.
like Stephen King, he says that he dreams all of his stuff.
Hmm.
It's like, how do you
Oh,
go to
yeah.
sleep?
Nightmares every day.
Yeah, just
Oh, that's a good book.
Because he wakes up
Yeah,
like
yeah.
ching.
He's like terrified. He's like making money.
I'm sure he's like screaming, I'm gonna be rich, oh my god, what was that?
Write this down now.
Like that's just terrifying, and so either writing it or drawing it, that just has to be.
Just lives in it.
It's like, oh, I did the most interesting thing the other day. No,
Well, actually, whenever I have nightmares, sometimes I feel like I have like confidence in my like mind to like keep myself okay in like scary situations. So, but it's obvious it's not always true. But whenever I have a nightmare, like I actually want to stay in it because I want to know like that I reach a happy ending, rather than being like, oh my god, like if I didn't wake up, then like I would have been done for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
interesting.
Yeah. So
Does it always
sometimes-
have a happy ending?
No.
Why did I stay?
Yeah.
This was a mistake.
And then it's,
The
like,
needle.
terrible. And then it's like
Come to my
terrible.
eye.
Yeah, it's also terrible when it's like you kind of wake up, but then you're like, no, I have to go back to sleep so I can like resolve my dream, and then like come back like completely like okay, like my entire dream is resolved. But then it doesn't happen, so now you're just like awake and you're just like, holy crap, I just like got killed in some bizarre way, and now I'm just like it's etched in my memory because I wanted to remember this dream and I just couldn't forget it like normal. So it's
That's
like,
not why you're
that's the
holding his
worst.
axe right
yeah, you say it kept on running. Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Gareth says Fatal Frame for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
Fatal Frame.
So, what do you guys like about Fatal Frame?
I haven't actually played it.
It's Pokemon Snap, they're really scary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I didn't have a PS2 back then, but I always thought that game looked really interesting. That's one of those games I would have loved to play.
Yeah,
But
it's just like over a decade that I played it, but like I remember there's a mechanic. I mean, the camera's a big thing, but like when there's ghosts, you want to run from them. There's a mechanic of using a camera. I think you either freeze them or you disable them somehow with a camera.
Oh, okay.
So it's like to make the ghost not kill you, to pretty much put a telescope up and fill your screen with ghosts, and it eliminates your peripheral vision. So then when you put the camera down, you're like, bah! And there's like something right there. And it's like, this is like, yeah, well, what don't you want to do when a ghost shows up? And they're like, yeah, okay, let's make him do that, right?
Yeah.
And it just makes it so much worse, man. But this is like hazy memory, and I might be mixing it with other games. Because in my mind, I'm describing it, I'm remembering like Wind Waker's camera. So just, my memories is all mixing together.
Yeah. Well, Gareth, if Tyler's description was right, let us know in the frame in the chat. If not, just shame him.
Or if I really misremember Wind Waker as like a horror game.
that game really messed you up.
Cool. So, why do you guys like horror games?
Why? Because I think it kind of goes into a lot of horror media. So like we were talking a little bit about the basement earlier, right?
Oh yeah. Explain it to the chat.
Oh yeah. So we got some haunted houses here in Pittsburgh, and the Scare House is a pretty famous one, and they have another haunted house underneath there. It's called the Basement, and it's kind of like next level horror where you have like a safe word, and initially you either go by yourself or with just one other person, and that was it. And they can touch you and all this crazy stuff. But so I did that once or twice, and then I was gonna go again for a special preview one, and they were doing a science study, and so we got picked for the study, and they did the brain scan and did all this stuff, and the guy was explaining that their study was for the University of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And it's because they found that people, why would someone want to get scared, And they found that people go through it, and it's super terrifying, it's horrible, but you come out of it feeling euphoric and happier, and it actually kind of relieves. I think it relieves a lot of stress, maybe going through these stressful situations. So that's what they were trying to study, and I think that's probably a reason why you do it, because you're sort of proving that you can make it through something terrible. I think it's you just want to see can I make it? Can I survive this? And you survive, and you feel good, and maybe you feel stronger, because you overcame this crazy challenge that was very stressful. I think maybe that's kind of why I like to do it. Can I survive this situation, and then I feel better about it.
There's that perspective shift too, right? Where games aren't real, but when you're running from something, your basal game it's real.
Yeah.
So feeling like you're gonna die, even just in a reptile way for a second, it does that where then you're oh yeah, I'm not gonna die. It's a video game, but you still have the reset of oh yeah, my normal life, I'm not gonna die in it. Okay, yeah, it's good, right?
It's also a unique feeling, right? Nothing makes you feel that way other than I guess fear, right?
Public transit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Right. But I'm saying compared to other games you're playing for that are fun, entertaining, it's horror is this weird alien thing. It's why am I doing this?
There's a real risk in the reward. You're no longer oh, I got a high score. It's I survived that.
Yeah.
And like you said, there is that moment where if you're have the lights off and you have everything out and you're just alone, and there's just the game. Most games are just flashlights and you said, peripheral vision's gone. You get into it and your brain gets so focused in surviving that you forget for a second you're playing a game. Where it's you're Greg playing Beat Saber up there. He's he knows he's in a game, and he's no fear, and he's just high score all the way. But with us, it's or with horror games instead, it's you have that actual risk for you said, even for a second, and then you get rewarded, and you're that was awesome.
There's a component that's a game mechanic thing too, right? Where I can't. It's hard to think of a game that's not a power fantasy. God of War is power fantasy, Shooter's power fantasy, Overwatch is power fantasy. You get an ultimate, you kill people, and you win, right? And then horror games are pretty much a disempowerment fantasy. Oh look, it's a monster, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Run, and then you're so
you are the weak person. You're not the Master Chief plowing down enemies.
You're so incompetent and weak. Yeah, it feels so unique versus most other games you play. It's just a different set of feelings. And I never want to feel that way. I never I want to feel weak today. But when you do that, it does when you stop, it feels better.
Yeah, I think you feel empowered once you made it through it. It's
there's some I mean I have Soma in mind, but there's other horror games too where Soma's not really very often scary, and it's just existentially scary. It feels bad,
Mhm.
And like I have a clear memory of not feeling that. Like I played Amnesia and like it was directly like, oh wow, fun scary game. Like ooh, I got spooked. Ooh. Right? And Soma was like, I have to stop playing games for a while. Like, it was like so.
You had no
so
euphoria.
hard.
It was just all stress.
Well, no, it was like a good. It was like I had never thought about that before. That scary thing is.
You hear the ending.
That's a
I
thing.
haven't beat it yet, but I hear the ending is like
It's a bit of a
it
Debbie
sticks with
Downer.
you. Yeah, it sticks.
No.
It is like, oh, this ending sucks. It's really dark. Imagine if the universe was that dark. And if you think about it for 5 seconds, you're like, oh,
It is that.
yeah, the real world's like that, huh? Like, oh,
no.
God. Like something that's terrifying you just never considered. They like just create, and it's not fake. It's real, or you know, it could potentially be real. There's no reason it isn't. And like that kind of horror is also like, I don't know, it's like reading a book. Like I never thought about that before. That's crazy. You know,
Yeah.
and just having a new experience is great.
Yeah, I feel like with video games, like I feel like I'm more in the game, like
Yeah.
more engaged with the experience than I am like playing an RPG or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I love those games, but like when you're playing a horror game, it's like you feel more like you're there. It's,
Yeah.
it's not VR, but it almost feels like it. You know.
Yeah, I like it because it's just different. Like
Yeah.
there are so many games that are just clones of another clone from the same company or from different ones. It all feels like the same, and you like understand it. Like even if you don't know exactly what the game's about, you like play it and you're like, oh, I know this game, but like just slightly different movements. But most of the time, like horror games, you're being put into like the place of a person, or like you have to like live a new story. So
Yeah.
the story's different, but also it's like just a totally different pace. You're not expected to really go fast. Like you run, but like I don't know.
There's such a weird hybrid too, because like I'm trying to think of like a straight horror game, and there probably isn't one. It's probably like a crazy thought, but thinking like what's God, like the Dead by Dawn, Dead by Daylight. Oh my
Dead
God.
by Daylight.
Dead
Yeah,
by Daylight,
yeah, Dead by
right?
Daylight.
Like Dead by Daylight, it looks like you look at it and you think it's a horror game, but like it's not, right?
Well,
Like-
horror is
like
pure hard, right?
Yeah.
Like to make something scary, it's not like necessarily a formula that
Yeah.
just works. Right? There's like so many things that you got to do
I mean-
to like have them come together.
That game could definitely be scary, but it's like dependent on another player being good.
Yeah.
Because there's like one guy's
Oh, yeah.
playing as Freddy, or you know, the Freddy archetype, and then everyone else is like the college gets a good kill, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
In case any viewers haven't played it, but like, yeah, like it's kind of like a comedy action game
Mhm.
now, because like you know, Freddy's like doing weird stuff and dancing because he's played it a lot, and like it's not scary, but sometimes it can be. And then I played games that aren't intended to be horror. Like Zelda's a good example, right? Where like I don't think Zelda is considered a horror game.
It's definitely
Like
not.
it's
Nope.
spooky. That game gets really scary. When like especially I remember when I was young, like oh
Well, a
my
lot
God.
of stuff was scary when you were young, though.
Yeah.
Really?
Scared of your own
Yeah.
parents.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, guys?
right? I'm not the only one. Yes, dog. Parents are super
Totally.
scary. Yeah.
Doyle's parents are scary.
I
Yeah.
think, I think the closest one recently to like just like this is just a horror game and that's
Yeah.
the only reason this thing exists is that Silent Hill demo.
Hey, PT.
The-
PT, yeah.
PT.
PT.
Like that
What
felt like you were
demo?
just like watching. Yeah, what demo?
Just disappeared.
It's not on the
That
store
demo was
anymore.
Pure psychological.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just psychological. It felt like you were playing a movie, but like there was no UI.
Yeah.
There was like it was just like you're walking through and you're just experiencing this thing from like first person perspective, and you're just like scared.
And it wasn't even like, I wouldn't even, it's not even really
It's not even like a game,
Yeah,
no.
it was just like a horror experience.
It's like
just
an
like
it
a
was,
nightmare.
It was very close to like an interactive movie in a way,
Yeah.
but you
Isn't-
can walk around.
There
But
is
it
a
was-
game in there. But
There
it's
is,
like,
yeah. There's like
Yeah.
you win, you can win, you can't like, or you can get through that, and there's
Do you
multiple
know,
layers.
do you know
and all
about
that
yeah? You have
stuff.
to like shout into your microphone. And it's,
There's a whole
No,
bunch of crazy
it's really
things.
weird. And then there's
What?
there's branching paths too.
Yeah.
So if you like go through it,
Yeah.
you play it every time it's different, and like
Oh, wow.
something may or may not happen, and it may or may not be useful to the story. Something's
Yeah,
not
like
useful.
Yeah.
Like if you there's a section with like the foyer of the house. The whole game, if you haven't played it, is literally like it's an L-shaped hallway, like 10 feet this way and like 20 feet this way with like a little stair going down and like an
Okay.
atrium in the middle. That's it. That's the entire like
Yeah.
level, the entire like demo. And yeah, you just keep looping. When you go through the other door, you
Oh,
you
that's so
come out on
weird.
the other door on the
Yeah.
other side. But
What?
something subtly has changed, and so you have to like figure out what has changed.
Oh, that's so
And then
weird.
things
You have to
happen.
keep moving because if you hear this sound,
Yeah,
there's this
like
ghost
creature that like
that's coming up and
Yeah.
it comes up behind you to kill you.
yeah.
And so
Okay.
you hear like in your ear, and if you like
Yeah.
see it, the camera spins and it grabs you and like
Yeah.
murders you.
Yeah. So if
Oh,
you see it, you're
it's
like,
just
I'm out.
Intense. Yeah, like the second that happens, like you're just like controller down, like
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Super intense.
I thought that game was really, really good because like
Yeah.
the moment I was talking about was like if you go to the atrium, there, if you look up, there's like a little banister as if it was like a 2-story house.
A little person.
And yeah, there's just like this creepy little person like hanging out on the banister. But like sometimes when you play through, like I played it through it twice and multiple times failed and all that stuff, but like completed it twice. And when the first time I went through it, you like look up and it's just like hello, and you're like fuck, you're like oh no, and you're just like scared. But then like it didn't happen ever again.
Yeah,
like, I played that game for maybe
Wow.
5 hours,
The variable
and it just
computers.
never happened. Yeah, it just I got that random flip of like that's when this is happening. And so that put me on edge for the rest of the time I played it. Because once I realized, like, this isn't happening again. Or, like, this happens very infrequently, I was like, oh, no, this is, like, it felt like a more living world.
Yeah.
Less than, like, oh, scripted event. Okay, I'm through steps 60 through X, however many steps there are. And, like, you're repeating 60 when you start over again. It just felt like a new game every time.
When I played that, like, I don't know, did you grind it out? Because, like, I was like, okay, I got all the endings. I wanted to get, like, the further one where you have to pick up the phone. And it, like, there's rumors that it pulled up mic input from whatever you plugged in. So it was like you had to trigger with enough mic input to trigger a series of events because, like, the phone had to hear you or something. But they're, like, experimenting with that. It's something that in horror, like, horror doesn't abide bugs, really, at all. Where, like, if something happens that is sort of, like, normally in a game would just be, like, a weird bug, it just totally breaks the immersion of the world. Like, in that, if the ghost is coming, you hear the noise, if you don't look at her, she doesn't grab you. You can, like, just shimmy backwards down the hallway, and eventually you'll bump into it. And, like, you can't move, so you know that she's there, like waiting for you to turn around. And, like, as long as you don't look at her, it's fine. You're like, all right, I'll keep going this way then.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I think, like, that is, it makes them harder to be, like, PT was so well done because it's so hard to break, because it's such a little tight experience, right? But, yeah.
Yeah, the microphone input one was interesting. There was, like, rumored that if you yelled at it, it would not come at you. Like, you could face it, and if you screamed, it would, it would not come at you. And I'm pretty sure that worked, but I also felt like a crazy man. like I'd be like, oh god, she's there, and I'd be like, ah! Because obviously you're supposed to be like, go away, but like, it's just mic input. I'm a tech guy, I know what's behind the scenes. So I started like scratching the mic, because like that does the same thing. And that seemed to work, I don't know, but yeah, I felt like a crazy man screaming at the screen, and I was like, if I survive a few more seconds, that's all I need, and then like run through the door, and then she goes away or whatever.
That demo will be legendary because of how it's been removed from.
It is pretty much.
If you don't know, so if you don't know, the PT demo was released, had this big thing, then the final game was ultimately canceled, at which point they removed the demo from the PlayStation Store, so it only exists on people's hard drives who have already downloaded it because they can't remove it. So as long as people keep it on their PlayStation hard drives, the game still exists, but otherwise there's no way to get it.
And every time a PlayStation 4 bricks, the value of the other ones goes up. Eventually there'll be one copy of the game left possible because you can't get that. Like, oh man, it's so crazy. But,
that's wild.
Yeah.
Gareth recommend, or he talks of Thief, Mundane Shadows.
Thief, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I tried playing it. I didn't get into it,
but
I thought it was okay. Yeah,
scary.
It's not.
Yeah,
it's not mundane shadows, is it? Isn't that a pun?
Mundane.
Mundane.
Sure.
I don't know.
I'm not. I'm like, I know. I bought the old Thief and the newest Thief, and I remember that the ones in the middle were like not scary games at all. But the original one was like, it was the first game that had sort of believable guard AI. Like, they would patrol and say stuff, and like before that, stealth games were like Vision Cone. That was it. But I haven't played the original one. I never considered, like, that's probably a horror game. Where does the line?
Where's the line?
Is Splinter Cell a horror game?
Yeah, there's a difference between
If you get scared, it's a horror game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a difference between like dark themed and horror game. Because like, if it's built to scare you, that's a horror game. But I think like you wouldn't play Dishonored thinking it's a horror game. But it's dark and like.
Well, do you think like some people might, because there's like undead and giant mosquitoes. And, like, there's stuff that
could be. Yeah, could be scary.
It's too loosey. I mean, it's like every video game genre.
Yeah.
Like, what's an action game? Action?
Yeah. That makes sense. So what Garrett said. Oh, it was a joke about him. His covert watching. So Gareth is he's watching the stream covertly from work, and Hey, and so the title of his covert watching
It's Deadly Shadows, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so he was punning on that. Gotcha. Thank you for the clarification, Gary.
That would be an awesome sequel, though.
Mundane shit.
It's like you're in an office building and you're just like siphoning money from the company.
Oh my god.
That would be a horror game though. Like you're at work and
Yeah.
stakes are high, but you have to watch YouTube for some reason.
Yeah.
You gotta, like,
No, it's like
they're
if you-
patrolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you stop watching, your family dies.
Yeah, like it's real intense.
No, please.
Yeah, it's like
I'm watching.
is Papers, Please horror?
I mean, I think it's. I wouldn't
Oh,
say
that's
it's a
a good
horror
I
game,
think
but
it's
it's.
not for...
Yeah.
No, I
It
don't
It's
makes
not.
you feel
Yeah.
dirty.
Makes me feel like Beholder and Papers, Please make me feel kind of more horrified than like Amnesia. But it's like that other horror has an implication of not representing the real world, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's it's just too real.
Yeah, it has to be
kind of
fantastic.
thing. I mean,
It is too real.
It is way too real.
Yeah, Beholder's awesome, but Beholder's super dark and yeah.
But what does it mean to be scared and horrified? Because you can be horrified of what's happening, but you're not particularly scared.
Yeah.
You know, have you seen It Follows?
Yeah.
It Follows is the movie. I saw It Follows when it came out, and that was the last moment where I was like, oh man, I'm horrified, but I'm not scared. Because there's very few jump scares in that movie where something surprises you. It just feels bad.
It's like
you see a thing
constant
out
dread,
there.
and they're
Yeah.
they finally get farther enough ahead, and they're enjoying their life for a little
Oh,
bit, and then
yeah.
they're like, nope, time to run again.
Yeah, and it's the horror is it's not surprise. It's accepting that something bad is gonna happen
Yeah.
and hating that. Yeah.
Oh.
Where
That doesn't feel good.
Yeah, no.
Even just hearing it.
Yeah,
You're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Buy our horror game. Do you want to feel bad?
But I mean, I guess it goes back to what Doyle's point. If you're going through it and you feel bad, but you
Yeah.
complete it, you're like, whew,
Yeah.
I can get through that. Or
Yeah.
maybe,
But it's are used to I play a ton of shooter games, right? I think most people that play games do. I don't ever want to kill people. As a rule,
That's
I
good.
never
Good
feel
rule,
it.
good rule.
Unless I'm in traffic on 376, I never feel it. But when I play games, it's yeah, I want to feel like I want to kill people now. And you run around shooting and stuff, and it's this is a normal feeling for Overwatch, that you're shooting people watching the ragdoll. But it's it's not that you want to do that. It's just triggering the catharsis you would get from doing that in a positive way. Horror is really similar.
But it's a laid back you might feel amped because this
Yeah.
is sweet, but you do it all the time. You're just kind of it's automated.
Yeah.
But horror, you're thinking and you're aware and you're freaked out.
Yeah.
When it's doing it right, it's an intense emotion. Doesn't matter how many horror games you've played, you're still gonna get scared.
Man, have you guys played? Has anyone played Rust? Any more Rust?
Yeah.
It's like a sandbox, like a proto battle royale game. That
Everybody else starts out with no clothes.
Everyone's naked. You're
Just
holding a
naked
rock,
from
and
the
you
start.
build a little house, and you get some food and
What?
stuff. And you have a neighbor, and you talk to them, and you're like, "Hey, buddy, you got any wood?" And then they're friendly. And then there's
And they come down
a
and just,
neighborhood serial
destroy your
killer
house.
who just kills your neighbor, and you don't know who it is. And then someone's like, "Hey, man, what's up? How you doing?" And they approach you in the woods, and it's just people interacting over resources in a game. But
It's a multiplayer game there.
yeah. I felt more terrified in that because of the real that's a real guy.
It's a real
That's-
human being.
that's
is
weird.
Is he trying to trick me so he can kill me? That
Yeah.
feeling in a
Oh,
game is
yeah.
so
Yeah.
your heart starts beating. Yeah.
Andy's naked.
yeah, they can hold in a rock.
Hey, what's up, guy? Just got in the woods without any pants on, just
I have so many questions.
Yeah, that wasn't me who killed all those
Yeah.
people back there. Just so you know.
That's
Why do you have so heavy breath? Huh?
This is crazy. The guy got killed by a spear. How'd you know he died by a spear?
Yeah.
You just turn around and run.
That's a whole other layer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Casey says, you folks rock. Well, thank you, Casey. We'll try our best to keep it up. Garrett says, Rust is awesome, but it brings out the worst in people.
Yeah. No, everything is wonderful until you add humans to it, and then
Yeah.
it's terrible. I was just in LA, and they have those bird scooters everywhere. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's basically like Uber but scooters, and you pay 50 cents a mile, whatever. It's super cheap, so everybody uses them, but they don't get locked up anywhere. They don't have stations. Here we have bikes, you drop them off. The human element is terrible. People they're just in rivers, they're in fountains, they're up in trees, they're in bushes, and you're just the idea on the surface level is great, just like Rust, but as soon as you add human beings, it just all turns terrible.
Yeah, I saw those scooters in Columbus whenever I was at GDEX just past, what was it, September? And Columbus, there's those scooters everywhere, and they can just be in the road, and so just like
they're like, I'm done with this, boop, and then they just walk away from them.
Yeah, that's right. They just leave them. Yeah.
It's Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they're all over the place, and all you do, you just swipe, or if you have an account, you put in your numbers, and you just take it in and go, and it's bizarre. Like I saw, okay, so I went out, and these guys were like, oh, come down the street with us. I was like, okay, sure, why not? And this guy took this scooter because I think there's a law of using it while intoxicated. Well,
You would hope.
You would hope.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, this guy was like well beyond the zone, and just took off, and then crashed into like a building. Like went off this brick road into a sidewalk into a building, and we were walking into a place, and the bouncer's like, "Is that guy with you?" We're like, "No." It's crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the way that people just abuse the scooters are absolutely incredible.
Are they motorized or are they just?
Yeah.
No, they're like electric scooters.
All right, yeah, because when you said he's like super drunk, I just imagined someone like passed out, like sliding by, and it's like driving itself down the road.
I'm sure that's not far away from
You
that.
saw that in a dark alleyway. That'd be terrifying.
Oh
That would be terrifying.
Like a prone figure sliding towards him.
Magic carpet figure. What is happening?
What is going on?
Horror!
His limbs flashing in the
Must be October.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Anyway, so digress a little bit. So, in terms of horror games, which games are your favorites? Which ones do you guys like to play? Like you talked about PT a little bit, but what are some of those games that you keep going back to?
I mean, I play Soma once a year. Which is just,
You play Soma once a year?
Once a year.
it's like I like reread some books. If I like a book, I'll reread it. And like I feel the way about Soma. Like I haven't played Soma in a while.
Is that why I've been so happy?
Dark and
Yeah.
bummed for a year.
Yeah.
Time to start it
Man, I'm
out.
not depressed. I
At
should play
this
some
point, like
Soma.
once you know that it's coming, you kind of know the resolution. So then it's just like, it's more comfortable because the first time you play it, you're like, it's kind of awful.
It's
right?
not nearly as scary the second time around. Like once you know what's going on, kind of like the scary games. I mean, you can replay them, but they're really like a one and done kind of experience for the horror aspect.
There's some stuff like I've been playing some SCP Secret Lab. If you guys don't know, on stream, SCP is like a wiki that they collect spooky stories told online, and they rewrite them as if they're like a bureaucrat. So it's like they rewrite them like a file, like the
Internet is
subject.
weird,
Yeah,
man.
if you read them, they're super good because of the detached perspective. It makes it like more tangible, less like, and then the ghost scared them, and it's like the ghost is an ethereal blah blah blah. But the game is like most players are people trapped in a facility or people coming to rescue them or scientists, and then some players are the monsters that are scary. And the whole game is just like you just wake up in a cell, and eventually someone in the game will like hit a button that opens all your doors. Like, oh cool, I'm out, and you're out, and you don't know, but you're essentially, because of who you randomly have been rolled to be in the game, you're like just something to be killed. But you have no way to know that at the beginning of the game if you're like the first person to die in a horror movie, or if you're the person that escapes. Like there's not really a way to gauge that. So you're just like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to escape, and you wander up, and there's a big locked door, and a scientist watching you, and like he hits a button, the door opens, and a monster comes out, and everyone starts freaking out.
Oh
And it's
my
like
God.
because of the human element triggering the scary stuff. It stays like fresher because like sometimes it'll be comedy, not serious. Sometimes you'll get like serious RPers that act like they're like in character, right? And then it's like
They're like real psychopaths.
yeah, it's like it's like being in a haunted house though. It's like you go in and these guys are like they're in character, and it's hard to tell if they're acting in the game or if they actually mean what they're saying, and like it has that weird detachment that is kind of like fun to engage with. It's like playing D&D or something, but yeah, that's been my go-to like I don't know until last month.
Cool.
What is this called?
SCP Secret Lab.
I've never heard of this one.
It's like an indie project. It's really janky still.
Okay.
It feels like a student project, but like the idea is well executed enough that it's fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Rachel?
So I usually don't replay games particularly because the fact like once you play it, you kind of like lose the experience.
Okay.
The being scared experience, I guess. And I'm completely blanking on the name of this game that I really like, but it's like a horror RPG, kind of I guess in the style of like RPG Maker, and I think it's kind of like Witch's House, but it's a little newer than Witch's House, I think. Does anyone else play horror RPGs?
I played
It's like
top-down.
Yamawari Net Alone recently, which sounds a little similar. Where
no,
you're like
this is like a really old game, and you
Okay.
like control, and there's like this girl, and there's two girls, and then there's something about a rose. Oh my god, I'm completely blanking on
Beauty and the
this.
Beast.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Sorry.
It's a Japanese game.
I think so.
I guess it reminded me of Yamawari, which I got, and it's similar. It's like a top-down RPG, and you're like 4. You're a really young child, and you're in Japan where spirits are alive, and they kill your sister, and it's like super dark immediately. But all of your notes are like, oh my god, this is awful. Objective updated. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna find out what I should do. And you hit objective, and you get like construction paper and crayon. And you're like, what? And like all the map and all the objectives are just like a 4-year-old's drawings.
Oh my god.
So it sort of puts you in the
Wow.
mindset of like, oh, I feel bad for this poor kid, and then like it's a bit scarier because you
You're
feel
like, I'm that kid.
Yeah, well, no, I don't
Yeah.
feel like I'm her. I
Alright.
like pity her. Like I feel like I have to protect this person, but like you're kind of them because you're controlling them. But like it's not my pants I'm putting on. I'm playing as them. It's like there's a character I'm controlling. But yeah, you reminded me of that
Yeah.
by mentioning.
No, I also saw that game. I actually really like. I tend to enjoy the games made by the company that made that game. I think. If I'm thinking of the right company, and I don't even remember the company name right now
Okay.
because I'm just blanking on everything.
I
The
didn't know.
nightmare you had last night.
Yeah, that's right.
No.
Close it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
They
This
had
is
a
a good
sale on
horror.
it, I think they had a sale on it on Humble Bundle recently, maybe like within this past month or
It's
two.
the season for
Yeah.
This is true.
So
I think
I
Steam
saw
just
it.
didn't they just start their Halloween sale?
it. Yeah, they might have. They
Yeah.
had something.
But they
every
have like a
weekend.
2-day sale, so like ends
Yeah.
tomorrow, or tomorrow's the 31st, so it ends on Thursday.
Until Thursday.
Yeah,
Okay.
it ends really quickly.
Cool.
Well,
Oh. Garrett says Clock Tower.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
clock tower. That's pretty old.
No, I don't think it. I
Is
think
it-
it starts out with like you in this art museum, and then you're this guy. You meet a girl, and there's like this creepy doll that follows you around.
Is there a guy with giant scissors that's chasing you?
that is Clock Tower.
That's clock tower. That's what
No.
like what I
You
remember.
know, like I'm gonna search. I'm
But
gonna
it's not
search
an
this up.
RPG, though. It's
You
a-
guys
well,
continue.
it's
I'm
not
gonna
spoiler.
search
Okay.
this up. 'cause
So
it's fun.
Rachel's going to figure out what game she's talking about.
Is there a piano that like wakes up and starts like biting his?
I think
sleeve?
there's. Oh.
Tommy, Tommy says that he loves Adam Whalen. We like Adam as well.
Well, Adam ain't here, is it?
Adam Whalen. Adam Whalen in Alan Wake.
Alan Wake, yeah.
Found it.
You found
It's
it? What is
a
it? What is it?
Ib. I-B. I don't know how
That's
to say
probably
it.
like you remembered.
Yeah, I don't know how to
Ib?
say Ib.
Ib.
Yeah.
Can I see the cover?
eBay.
Yeah.
eBay.
It's terrifying.
Okay.
Use all your money.
So, wow, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ones that I keep going back to, I don't even know if it's considered a horror game, but I really like the Metro 2033 series.
Those are bringing up.
Those,
Yeah.
those are like,
Kinda
they're
scary.
suspenseful, like, yeah. Definitely a hybrid because it is a first person shooter, but like there's much more story to it. If you haven't played them yet, play it. If you don't want to play it right now, wait till next year. They're finally coming out with the game. It's been delayed like 7 times, but their country's also been in like revolution like 3 times, so
Okay.
that's probably why, because it's built in like Ukraine.
Well, THQ also folded and they.
Yeah, they had to
Yeah,
like,
right.
yeah, their publisher like went under, then they took the company over on themselves, like 4A Games, or I can't remember what the name of it is.
That has that thing where like Metro's a shooter, but it's also like sometimes a disempowerment shooter where
Yeah.
you're shooting stuff, but
You
you
can't-
your vision's
yeah.
covered and you're like choking and your gun.
Yeah.
You have to, like
Oh,
The
what
pump air
game, the
into
game
it.
is very visceral. Like,
Yeah.
your gas mask can get holes in it, and it can get like, and then you can't see as well. It starts to get blurry every now and then. You have to find a new gas mask. You have to change the canister on the gas mask.
Oh.
There's no actual like in-game stuff, so you have to like check the watch. So you have to
Yeah.
like look down at your watch to see what time it is, or like what your
Oh.
levels are, and then you like put it back away. But you're in like post-apocalyptic, post-nuclear war, like snowy, whatever,
it's
ashy
Russia. Roadside Picnic, Russia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so you're in like the subway tunnels because that's why it's called Metro 2033. It's based on a series of books, but I like that series a lot because that's the one I keep going back to because they have 2 games in the series now and the 3rd one's on the way.
It's a really unique world they created. Like,
It's
the
really-
underground towns are pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really involved. I mean, it's almost cheating that they have a book because they can just read the book and then they're just making the book. They
Yeah.
didn't have to really think of the world. Like they didn't have to sit down for pre-production for a year and be
There's
like,
that
let's create this
fear.
world.
Smart.
Hey, it's smart. Yeah, grab a book, tell the
Yeah.
publisher, hey, you mind if we make this book game?
Worked out for The Witcher.
Yeah.
Fear, I think.
Yeah.
Fear was like the first
Fear.
shooter that had.
I
I
forgot
love
about
Fear.
Fear.
Fear's like the
Or,
OG,
spike gun
and then
things
that turned into
pinning.
you have Metro on one side, and you
Yeah.
have Stalker on the other, which is
Yeah,
a
Stalker
little
was
weird
sweet,
and
too.
more open.
Mhm.
But they all have the same flavor of I'm a shooting empowered guy,
Yeah.
and then I get destroyed by terrifying things.
Fear
like
is all about the bullet time, man.
Yeah. Well, then
Jumping in the air and kicking someone in the head, slow motion.
there was the
person.
Ghost
Oh,
Girl,
wait.
right?
One
Oh
of my
yeah,
favorite
it was
mechanics.
super creepy, but
One of my favorite mechanics out of that one was the spike gun. I don't know if you remember that. I had way too much fun with that. It was Ragdoll in Fear,
Yeah.
and you could pin their arms to the.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like when you
Bullets,
shot them,
yeah.
the bullets would go through and then pin them.
yeah,
I don't
that's-
know.
Okay, Chris.
Out of context, that's totally
Yeah.
terrible. Like if I walked down the street, I was like, I love pinning people to walls. Like, woo.
So then you're the hammer. In a video game.
Yeah,
In the
Clarify.
game.
Yeah.
And clarify. Daryl says the Metro series was good too. So
Yeah.
we go. And then Mike T says Hugo's House of Horrors.
Is that just
It
his
sounds
friend-
really familiar,
his
but I don't
friend's
know.
house?
You're just saying that.
There's Spooky's House of Horrors.
Yeah, Mike T. Hugo's House of Horrors.
I don't know.
I don't know. Mike T, if you're still in your traffic jam, just let us know what that means.
It's like you
Call
can
it.
probably focus on driving.
If the traffic let up, just let us know in 20 minutes whenever you're home. Yeah. What were we just? Oh, so
Yeah. So for me, yeah, like I said, it's not really I don't really replay horror games, but I think that's why Resident Evil series there's so many of them because
Yeah.
Yeah.
people want that experience, but it needs to be new every time. So
Yeah.
Resident Evil's a big one.
Yeah, like
Play that.
Resident Evil 6
Yeah,
is so
Resident
scary, right?
Right. Well, yeah, we screwed up for a while.
Yeah.
We kind of detoured and then this sucks. Finally came back around. Silent Hill, I didn't get to play too many of them, but Silent Hill 2 when I was younger, I had an Xbox, and they actually ported that one. That game stuck with me for a long time.
Just a foggy town and all that. You're
Yeah, it was
like,
just
"Ah,
such
I
a
can't see anything."
cool,
Yeah.
weird, it's like that Twin Peaks,
Mm.
super weird environment with quirky characters. It was awesome, and I really like Dead Space a lot. Dead Space 1
Dead
and
Space
2.
was good.
Those are really fun.
That was a lot of jump scares and suspense, but
Yeah, I
it's
just
still,
love the sci-fi blend and
Yeah.
anything that makes me feel like I'm in Aliens. I love that movie. So I thought that was really, and the guns were really cool. They did a lot of cool stuff, but the first game was definitely scarier than the second one. Then once again they did the Resident Evil thing, got more actiony, but
Yeah.
Have you played the fourth Silent Hill game, the Room?
nah, I played the demo.
It's like the weirdest one by
Yeah.
far. Where
it seemed weird,
where just probably a third of the game is you're in an apartment, it's just 2 rooms.
and it's first person.
And you just can't do anything, and you pick up the phone and listen to someone call you.
That's
It's super.
they definitely
yeah.
took that, and that was kind of it had to be inspiration for BT, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they have, it's that thing too where they give you a set of rules where oh, here's your house, you're safe, and then you go out in the world and it's dangerous, and you're I'm done with this, I'm going back. And then this empowerment thing where halfway through the game, they're now there's ghosts in your house. And it's you lose, no, my tools, and they to take all your stuff away, and now you're, you've lost all your power, and you're running around in your safe place to get out of that, to go back to a scarier place, yeah.
It's weird. I played the 5th one for a while, but it was Homecoming.
Which one's that? Oh, okay.
But it was so buggy.
Yeah.
Halfway through, I ran into you try to fight the enemies and you just couldn't kill them because the controls crapped out. But
they
it
really
was
need
really cool up until that point.
They need a Resident Evil 7. They need to come back to what they were doing.
I really like and then the whole the world switches and everything. You go into the hell mode and the paint
Siren
peels
Star.
off. That's just super cool.
Yeah.
I think from playing those games, I used to live in Swissvale, and they have a curfew of like 8 and 9. So yeah, like every 8 and 9 o'clock, you hear that old Cadillac engine and like.
It's like nurses
And like
walking.
from playing that, I get nervous
Girls in.
immediately. Yeah.
So Gareth says that you can't forget about the haunted house level in Time Splitters.
Oh my god.
Feature perfect.
Oh well, yeah. I was gonna say the Notre Dame and Time Splitters too. I mean, I'm talking about games I played when I was like 8, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a bit young, but I mean, they're kind of cheesy shooters.
Yeah.
But
You guys ever do like urban exploration?
in college.
Yeah, I did some in college. There was this old, it was Bower Hill Hospital on Bower Road, and now they bulldozed over it. But before they did, if you jumped the fence, you could go climb into it, and it was a giant hospital back in the day, like the 50s. But all the top floors were gone, but there was 2 basement levels that were still underground that were fully intact,
Oh
and there
my
was
God.
like a hole in the hill through the wall that you could like get into. And it was basically like being in Sound Hill. It was like
Yeah.
all this peeled paint, and like you're going down another floor, and it's a giant complex, like the size of a mall, all underground, caved in, like hospital rooms that are flooded, and you'd like shine light, and it would just like go through it, but like disperse from all the dust. And
Oh
that
my
was
God.
cool. I love like yeah. Like, you'd experience like something like that. Like I don't know. I think that's why I like horror, because you feel it.
You're in it.
Yeah.
Alex says that not much of a horror game, but he hasn't felt much discomfort and panic from Project Zomboid.
Isn't that the sandbox one? I can't remember. There's a game that I think this is, where it's like a top-down sandbox game. So it's not turn-based, but like it's a resource management where your wife is sick and you have to leave your house and get food. Let me think of something else though. I think Zomboid's a more recent game.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I can't remember what it is.
Tell us
Alex, yeah.
about Project
Yeah.
Zomboid.
Yeah, tell us, Alex, some more details about that. That'd be great. So, let's see. I have a couple of games that I thought that we could also talk about. Before the stream, I kind of mentioned that game, the Blackout Club. It's that game that's kind of like an iteration on a Stranger Things, but it's a multiplayer, and you're trying to find a friend that's kidnapped or went missing, and you're trying to figure out. And so it brought me to a question like, do you like, or what's the idea about multiplayer horror? Is that where
my immediate reaction, like, because I brought up the SCP game.
Yeah.
Like, that's fun, but occasionally accidentally scary. But I believe in my heart, like, I'm never going to be scared from a multiplayer game.
Yeah, it's just they can't, because there's safety in numbers, right? So it's
Well,
like,
not even that. Like the immersion I get, like I said with the bug thing. If I hit one bug and the world's not real, it's like, okay, less scary now.
yeah.
Like another player being there doing like weird buggy player stuff because
Or
it's
just
funny,
saying
like
dumb
immediately.
stuff, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like,
Hey guys, look at me! I'm teabagging the zombie.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
oh come on!
All right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, woo! I'm scared.
Like you could have jump scares and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That always will.
But that's
spook
yeah,
you,
that's
but-
like surprising though, right?
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess like maybe there'll be a game that can be really good that's multiplayer. Like that might be awesome. But my knee-jerk reaction is like suspicion.
Mm.
Or
maybe
maybe
like first person if you couldn't talk to each other or
Yeah.
something. I don't know.
Well, if you couldn't identify who was a player and who was
Yeah.
like a fake player.
That could be kind of
Okay.
interesting.
Ooh, yeah.
I think VR is good for that. Played a
Yeah.
Killing Floor Incursion. That's co-op. And even though we were together, we were both just screaming the entire time. Like, it was super terrifying. But it did make it less scary because we could be like at least back to back and like
Yeah.
shooting these zombies over
Yeah.
the place. But
I wonder if pitting the players against each other would improve the like visceralness of it. Because if it plays against your strength to like scare, like if you don't scare the other player or you aren't cautious in being that kind of player,
Yeah.
like maybe then that eliminates the like human element of like alleviating that
Well,
tension.
There's like the thing where I guess when you play multiplayer games, you want to feel confident, right? Like that's when they feel good is when you're confident and you're competing. And then like in a horror game, usually they're better if I feel incompetent. Like if I'm struggling to understand what's happening and like I feel like I have to react and I sometimes do it badly and stuff. And like if I play a game that's competitive, that's horror. Like I would play it to know it, and then once I know it, I'm like, okay, I know these systems.
I mean, it might just be for the experience. I feel like a lot of horror is sort of just for like that horror experience. It's not so much about competition, right?
I've wanted to game jam at Schell for a while. I'm like, I want to make a game where one player's job is to be like an actor. Like his job is to be a good character for the other people playing. So like if they come in and they play once and they're over, and then he stays and tries to do it better. Like I wonder if the horror, like that kind of thing, would be a good place for that.
It'd be kind of interesting because like it makes me think of Assassin's Creed's first take at multiplayer. Did you ever play it? Where you had to act like an NPC.
Yeah.
So your objective was to not look like you're a human.
So I agree.
That's weird.
That melded into like it was if
Yeah.
if the player knew which one was the like if the person that was supposed to be the assassin knew which one was the actual player, that player lost because they got assassinated.
Yeah.
And so your job was to like act natural, and by acting natural, it was like act like you're following a path.
Act stilted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like I did play that when it came out, and like because I played it for maybe a week, and the best strategy was sprinting and being really good at combat. So when I played every because you could disguise, but it's like, well, it's better just to run everywhere. So it was like that component of like this is how we want the game to be. Like, well,
Humans running, man.
yeah, well, the ideal strategy would have to be the scary one, right? Because if the ideal strategy is not scary, then like of course you're gonna do that eventually. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, I'm.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, nothing. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's really interesting. Like to see like. I don't know. Maybe
Or
we
and
can
also
make it
a
happen.
horror game, like a multiplayer horror game that is a horror game and not an action-y game. Because
Sure.
they're all been like combat
Yeah.
or something. Like it.
Yeah, like I know playing Left 4 Dead when like they added like the multiplayers, like the other guys, like the zombies, like the hero characters could be actual players, and then you like you said, like you just see that like they like look weird because it's just following what the player's doing, and then you're just like completely removed from that.
You could do like an Amnesia, where it's like the human's the monster, and everyone else doesn't have weapons, right? So
Yeah.
you're just
But then you
trying
have,
to,
like-
barricade
Well,
doors.
there's a ghost game like that
Yeah.
where like there's ghosts and they're trying to catch them, and you can barricade and hide,
Mhm.
and when they kill you, you become a ghost and you help them. But even that is like it becomes real strategic. Where like where they go, vents are quarter two. All right, we'll block off two. We'll do the fourth play. That's the meta.
Well, yeah, but maybe
Yeah.
you can't talk to each other or something, or
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I would just use Discord probably because like I can't fight the need to
Yeah, and I think it's,
humans, man.
Yeah.
I think it's still fun, but like even like Amnesia, you just have that like you can imagine like this awesome character model and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and then it's just the guy going back and forth and like spinning in circles, and you're like, well, I'm not terrified anymore.
There's a Rush streamer,
And then he
I follow.
comes sprinting at your face. Holy!
And like this is a little bit of a second, but this is like a Rush streamer I follow, right? Runs a server, and he
You said this is a restroom.
Right, yeah.
It's the restroom I
It's the
follow.
restroom I
Man,
go
it's
to.
the greatest one. It's
That's
downtown.
scary.
Yeah. But no,
That's weird.
So he streams Russ and Gary's mine, right? But like, he owns the server, so he has the ability to like he can fly around and he can turn off his visibility and stuff. So like he'll see a guy like chopping a tree down to build a house, so he'll fly up next to him and then he'll turn himself on and be like, "Hey, what's up, buddy?"
And he's like, "Ah!"
And he'll get scared, and then he's like, "Hey, you doing fine there?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." And then the guy will aggress him or say something. So he runs into a bush, like a big bush, and then hits his visibility button. So they run through the bush after him, and then he's like gone. And they look around, and he'll fly back to the roof of their house. So when they look around, he's just standing on the house, like waiting.
Oh my
And like
God.
his whole thing is he's streaming, so it's a performance for the audience. But like for the player, it's legitimately like a ghost story in a game, right? Like where it's just this ghost is.
That could be
Oh, I think I've
convincing.
seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like if you can make that, if you could gamify that,
Yeah.
so you get points. If you scare someone, there's an audience on Twitch and they gave you points, and that's like your score. So that the best strategy would be to be spooky, like maybe.
I think the element there though is that you have a lot of time. Like that person is just like chopping
It's
down
a
a
lot,
tree,
yeah.
like, you know, and they're like their brain just goes into idle. They're not
Yeah.
expecting anything. Like that would
Oh,
work.
yeah.
But if it's
If they were always like
less
prepared.
linear, yeah,
Yeah, and
just like
it's also it's
they have
like
to do some. There has to be like a whole other game that they're playing, and then you just like add that layer on top.
yeah, it's like humor. Like if you expect the punchline in a joke, it's never funny. Whereas like in Rust, you're not expecting a ghost to show up, right? But like
Hey,
if,
what's up, man?
it's a ghost game, you're like he shows up and like woo, you're like, oh hey, nice try. Like it's gonna be so
I
Yeah.
can see it if you're like a horror. You get to play as like a horror manager, like an AI over.
like a dungeon keeper. Sort of.
Yeah, almost. And so it's like, the humans are running around shooting NPC monsters, but you're controlling things that are happening in the environment or where things spawn. Like maybe
Zombie Panic, I think, is like an old game, a Source game that was like that, where you were just a floating god and you could spawn like a horde of 50 zombies. Those are like you were the
They
AI.
did that for that Nintendo. I don't know if it was Switch. That zombie game might have came out.
Zombie?
So yeah, Zombie
Zombie
U,
U.
yeah. The
Oh, yeah.
multiplayer version of that was
Zombie U, Wii U, Ubisoft.
Oh my
you had
God.
the thing and you were like placing zombies. That was kind of
Oh.
cool.
Huh. I
I guess
didn't, I didn't know it had that mode.
Yeah, and multiplayer. It's kind of cool.
But was it scary?
I mean, it's a first-person shooter game.
They
but-
tried, right?
Yeah, it was a
Good old
Yeah.
college
Sometimes
try.
jump scares don't have to be just like creatures or anything. It could just be like power enemy. That could sometimes be fearful in itself. Like you turn the corner and all of a sudden this overpowering force is there, and then you're like, oh, I am in fear mode now, like fight or flight mode. I don't know.
So, you mentioned, I forget who mentioned it, but Amnesia. A lot of people like Amnesia. Could you talk just a little bit more about it for those people who don't
Well,
know
it's sort
it?
of the, I haven't played too much of it, but it's the whole like I played enough that I got to the first monster and I was like, yeah, this is pretty scary, I'm done. But it's the anticipation building up to the monster, and it's like I played the first one and like
They do a
it
mechanic.
took a long time even before the monsters showed up. So it's like you're
Yeah.
constantly like, when is this gonna happen? And you're in a creepy environment, and it's a dynamic AI, and so you don't know where it's gonna go. And the environment's sort of like a sandbox, so you have to like kind of use the environment to either like find ways to get through rooms or like try to block something or whatever. So it's like, and you have no guns. That's what makes it scary. You
Yeah,
can't
they
kill it.
The AI knows where you are all the time. Like you can't ever hide from it or trick it, right? In its code.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
its goal isn't to kill you. Its goal is to scare you as much as possible. And if you make it easy to kill you, it will.
Okay.
So like when you hide, it will like path a path to like very menacingly walk past your hiding spot. And the thing they do that like I never until I played that game, and now it's obvious, and someone does it a little bit like less, but like you can't look at them. Like if you look at the monsters, then they know you're there and they come for you, and your vision freaks out and it like hurts you. So like say like if you look at something, you're like, oh, you know that mesh doesn't look that good, then it's not scary at all anymore. But if you literally can't look at the thing that's chasing you or it hurts you in the game, the best strategy is to hide your vision, which like maintains that curve of being terrified of it. Like yeah, that was so genius in Amnesia.
That is very true.
It,
That
it,
actually
it was so hard to appreciate when I played it. And then I watched my girlfriend play it.
Yeah.
And then she was like staring at it, and then as her vision started breaking, and she like couldn't, she's freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what game I was playing, but I had that same exact moment with the opposite, which was like, oh, scary thing. And I'm so, like, I was scared, and then I looked at it like, oh my god, that character mesh is terrible.
stupid.
That is awful. It's like blurry texture, and then I'm just judging the like all of that, and I'm just like,
I could have been
I don't
Amnesia.
care. I just turn and walk
Go
away.
ahead.
Like,
Yeah.
It
relax.
could have been Amnesia.
Could have been. I don't know.
It's kind of rough looking.
Yeah.
Now, it's like watching Signs again made me appreciate that. Like I remember Signs was really scary when I saw it.
Nah, it wasn't.
And most of Signs, well again I was maybe like 10, right?
Yeah.
But like Signs, most of it has no thing to be scared of, technically, right? You don't see, and all you
Well,
see
it
is
was
like
creepy, like the footage. That
there's a but
like,
that's,
that was
that's
creepy.
not until like halfway through.
The footage was
Yeah.
creepy.
The footage is creepy, and that's like very unclear. It's like the Bigfoot walk.
Yeah.
And
Right,
Like, you
yeah,
see
the
it reflected
Oh
on
my
a knife,
God.
right? And
Right.
then when you get to the end,
Swing
you see the
bomb.
thing, yeah, where you see that, and then if you rewatch it after getting to the end, it's like you can't even appreciate being scary because like I
Right.
know how.
But that's
like,
how that's what,
yeah.
what's scary stuff, right? Like once you know
Yeah.
everything, it's not scary anymore. That's why Amnesia was scary, even when I didn't see a monster for an hour and a
Yeah.
half, because it's like I don't know when it's gonna come.
Yeah.
Once you know, it's like
I wish almost that Amnesia never, like if they didn't let you see the monster. You looked at it and your vision broke enough you could never see it, because like I wonder if I could never analyze it if it would still be scary.
It was always just this thing.
Right, it's like I've seen the mesh online. I've like downloaded the FBX of it, right? So like I know what it looks like, and they look really stupid. Now it's like when I play Amnesia, it's like, oh, it's the goofy guy.
Yeah. Gareth and Alex haven't played Amnesia yet, and Jill's shaming them in the chat. So.
Thank you, Jill. That's insanity.
Yeah, no, gotta play Amnesia.
So play it, guys.
And then you have Amnesia copied, which is Outlast, and that had some success.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep, I had the Outlast series.
Outlast
next,
with naked, or it's Amnesia with naked dudes.
Outlast. Amnesia with naked dudes.
Outlast has this thing, like, I played Outlast a little bit. The night vision is really smart, which is similar to the camera and to the blurry vision, where, like, if you want to look at the monsters, you're going to have to deal with the crappy camera.
Yeah.
But, like, they do a bunch of stuff where most of the times that you're scared are scripted. You're not in control of your character.
Sure,
like, you crawl through a bookcase, and then you get a canned animation of, like, crawling, and you get spooked, and then, and he falls, and then you get control again.
Yeah.
So like playing that and going back to Amnesia, it's so clear, like, this isn't scary, because it's not even me, it's just some other guy, like, you know, like the passenger, my body takes over, and he does an animation and gets scared, and then I get to not be scared again. Like, yeah, it was so drastic looking at, I think I played the second to last first, which was maybe bad, but yeah, that was so like hit or miss for me, because I liked a ton of stuff, especially the infrared was like genius.
For me, it was when I had to, like, if I would die often, I didn't expect this to be the case, but like as soon as you replay it, you're like, oh, these events are pretty much the same.
Y'all can.
And you're like, oh, this ruins the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like complete opposite to PT, where it was like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like it could be completely
Where you were
different.
supposed to die. That's the part of the path, and now you're like, you're not free from the loop of terror.
You just keep
Whereas now
going.
you're like, okay, so this guy's gonna do that thing.
Yeah, like I just respawn, I'll be safe for like 10 feet, and I'll like have this thing happen,
Yeah.
and then that and that. But I agree with the video camera was really smart.
The battery?
Yeah, if you haven't played it, you have a
Uh-huh.
limited number of batteries, and if the battery runs out, you don't have a camera. If you don't have the camera, which has the night vision mode, the world's very dark. It's like almost you can't see it. So, and you can still use the camera, but it only works for like a second. If you have no batteries, it just goes dead battery, and you can see like a couple seconds of like just like night vision, and then it goes back down. You have to like collect batteries throughout the world. Yeah, I think playing with your vision is a lot. I mean, that's why most horror games, the simplest way, I've seen it 1,000 times in Unity and indie games. It's just like insert character, delete directional light, attach spotlight to hand, and like just parent it. And like I have a flashlight now, but that really is enough. It was enough for Slenderman to become such a big success.
There's more to the camera thing than just the battery though. Where like it renders at a way lower resolution. Than
It has the scan lines.
So it's like you
just
can't
fuzzy.
see clearly, and you're like, I just want to look at it so I know that how it's gonna hurt me, or I can analyze it. And like the inability to see clearly is so terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Should be a rule. Like, you make a horror game.
Yeah, you
to
can't.
Like, put putty in the player's eyes. Or
Make it blurry.
yeah.
Putty in the player's eyes. All
Yeah,
right.
or just
Blurry
playing
vision,
like
like 4K HDR.
Only that thing is so annoying.
Yeah.
It's the name of
Do
the
you want
game.
to-
Putty in the
Putty.
putty.
Putty in the player's face.
Yeah.
That's the antagonist.
Is it my
This
eyes?
endless putty kid.
I think, did we talk about this already? I don't think so. Until Dawn?
No, we
Done.
didn't. It's a
No.
fun game.
Okay.
That was
No, it's
convincing.
actually
A glowing
it's
approval.
I really like that game. It's a great.
Doyle loves it.
Yeah, it's a great game, and it's a great couples game.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's like watching a movie pretty much, and so you could like, you know, if your girlfriend or your boyfriend, whoever, doesn't really play video games, it's the kind of game they could easily play because the controls are really simple. And you can kind of trade off back and forth because it's structured like TV episodes, and it even has like recaps in between each one. So you're kind of like, oh, we'll do like, you know, chapter 1 tonight, and then like come back tomorrow to chapter 2, and there's a recap. So it's all like real actors that they like mocap and stuff. So
Wasn't possible spoilers? So if you don't want to get
Spoiler
spoiled,
alert.
I haven't played it, so I'm not really sure. But as I understood it, was like part of the mechanic was that it's like a slasher flick, sort of, and some of the characters
Kind of,
you're controlling, some of them are gonna die no matter what. So you're sort of in control of who dies.
well, you don't know that. You don't know anything as you're playing.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't even. I mean, that might be the case, but I don't know. I don't want to talk too much
Have you
about
played
it, but
There are many endings depending on like
Yeah.
the choices you make and like who ends up surviving or dying.
it's like Heavy Rain, but a
Yeah.
horror Heavy Rain. If you played that,
But I feel like there's more endings than Heavy Rain.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, in some way, because it's like, okay, if these people survive, then like this thing will happen. But if like they got killed off, then like that won't happen
Yeah.
because they've died.
But there are like
I mean-
specific moments that like no matter
Oh,
what
yeah.
you chose, like later you found out it kind of didn't really matter.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's
Yeah.
always kind of what happens when you have.
Yeah,
like,
there's only so
branching.
much you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have played it on launch if it was like, because I don't have PS4.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems really good. The other thing too, that like the acting is good, right?
I mean, the acting's decent enough. Like it's a little cheesy. Like it is like almost like a Friday the 13th. Like there's like a bunch of like
Very stereotypical,
college
yeah.
kids that are like all like horny and like they're in this
Oh
like
my god.
you know
Yeah.
retreat or whatever. There's a bunch
The intro
of
plot was just
Yeah.
like so. I feel like the intro plot was just so ridiculous. I just couldn't take it seriously anymore.
it's very tropey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
gotcha.
just like, oh my god, they're really doing this? Like, what even?
Seeing Cabin in the Woods now, whenever that happens in a movie, I'm like, oh, they're gonna subvert this. And then when they don't, like, it's like, oh, you're just doing that thing again. All right, yeah. I don't know.
But then if
It's
they subvert
fun,
it,
Tyler.
I had fun once. It was awful.
You played so much.
It's my fun palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like, oh, I need something dark.
I'm starting to feel happy. Last time I played so much.
Well, I guess, but if you put yourself in like a lower place or something, then that will let you become like positive, whether that be like happy or
Start
whatever.
low. There's
Yeah.
nowhere else to be.
See,
Start from the
yeah.
bottom. There's nowhere else to go but
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it's
Everything
true.
seems better
That is
after
fair.
summer, right?
You're always happy, yeah.
Yeah, if you're always happy. Oh, let's fix that.
Can't get any more happy.
Yeah, there's a component to like. I thought of Until Dawn a lot when I played because I played Amnesia when Outlast came out at the same time because they're really similar. And I was like, I want to see how these are different. So I refreshed Amnesia, the original. I think Dark Descent is the subtitle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I'm a big fan of Amnesia, which is frictional, and then I even like the China Room, Paper Room. There's another company that did another Amnesia that's a machine for pigs.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the difference between them was like when I'm scared in Amnesia, I'm in control, and in Outlast, when I'm scared, like I'm not, or when I'm supposed to be scared, I'm not. So it didn't help. But like when I watch scary movies, when I watch It Follows, I still feel like kind of terrified and like I'm not those people, right?
Mhm.
And I don't really care about them. They're like characters in a movie. But like I worry like, well, Until Dawn, you're not any of the people. You're sort of like a
You're like
controller.
all
you
of
switch.
them.
Yeah.
Well, you do take. I mean,
Yeah.
you control a person,
Yeah.
but you're switching between the roles.
But do you think not being a character and just being like the group, do you think that affects like your investment or how scary it is when something happens to one? Or do you think
I
it's
mean,
it's
you
like
kind of didn't care, and sometimes it was funny. I mean,
Yeah, okay,
it
that's
is
fine,
like
yeah.
watching almost like a cheesy horror
Yeah.
movie, right? So
like a
it's-
B movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's like watching like a Friday the 13th or
Yeah.
like Nightmare on Elm Street.
That
kind
makes
of
me
thing.
want to play it more now because that
It's
sounds
fun.
really funny.
It's a pretty fun game.
I'd imagine it was a very serious
Yeah.
game about watching people die, and that did not
Oh,
sound like
no.
a good time.
I feel like the characters are also written in a way where it's like,
You're like, good.
well, no, I feel like I didn't really like any of the characters.
Yeah, they're all kinda-
specifically. Yeah, they're all like,
It's like,
they're all
go
terrible
ahead and
characters.
die.
Yeah. So then like, I guess it kind of incentivizes you to like explore because it's like, yeah, like, oh, this character died. Like,
Yeah.
well, it's like it's actually like a good thing because they were like a complete asshole.
Yeah, there's a trope.
So you're like
yeah.
cheering.
So then it's like, yeah, like, oh, no, now you don't have to be like, oh, now I have to like reset so I get the perfect ending
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, I didn't care about the character anyways.
Mm.
That's the thing
Yeah.
where in slashers, like it's like a morality tale. Like don't be like that guy because
Oh, yeah,
he died.
yeah.
And like in some games, like in what's the one where you have two snakes? The Darkness.
Yeah, the dark.
You have
Yeah,
two
the two
snakes.
snakes.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
it's a two snakes game.
It's got two
And
snakes.
And they're like talking to you.
Yeah, like, hey, what's
They're
up,
like,
I'm a
do it,
snake.
man. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, what's up?
But like in that game, horrible things happen to people, and it's a little
Yeah.
scary. But it's always like, look, he's a mob boss. Don't be like him.
Yeah, he's
Yes,
like
yeah.
mauling.
It's like
validating why he's
a really light
being
morality
mauled.
tale. Yeah, and then like some games will do the thing where like, yeah, that person died and they didn't deserve it. Like in Silent Hill, it happens, and it's like that's horrifying because then it implies that like, well, me being good isn't gonna change the
Yeah,
outcome.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't
it-
matter.
And like the darkness and like it sounds like Until Dawn are sort of like validating like feel good horror games because it's like, well, as long as I'm a good person, like that won't happen to me, and that makes
No,
it like
it's
no.
just it's like watching Friday the 13th where they're like summer camp counselors that are just
Yeah.
totally dumb, and you're like, all right, you need this.
You need this.
Send it out of you. Like, when Jason kills them, you really don't care.
Huh.
You're like rooting for Jason at that point.
Yeah.
By the end, it's
Yeah.
Get him,
sort of
Jason!
like-
It's actually a faux pas to admit that, so you probably shouldn't.
They're in the closet, Jason.
Oh no!
Garrett says, Garrett, you haven't played that either. Come on, big guy. All
I'm
right.
still playing a Thief Mundane Shadow.
That's right.
Mundane Shadows.
Mundane Shadows, level 2. All right. How about Stories Untold?
I've played this one.
Yeah.
Has anyone else played this?
Nope.
No.
What is it?
So Stories Untold, published by Devolver Digital.
Yeah, it
Okay.
begins. It's like a series of 4 games that are actually connected, and it starts with the House Abandoned, I believe. And it's actually like a text-based game, and then the other 3 games are also kind of like weird mini games, kind of like they all have very different types of gameplay, but then they all you realize at the end that it's like all part of the same story. But I actually don't think I was that scared when I
Okay.
played House Abandoned.
Okay.
Yeah, Cause
She's saying that I picked the wrong game. Okay,
no,
we'll
no,
find Rachel.
But it was a good game. I really liked the game, but it and I think it was kind of like, it's kind of like those like, maybe it's horror, but it's not like scary.
Oh,
But
gotcha.
like you might get like chills down your spine, but you're not just like freaking out all the time, sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Do you watch?
Yeah.
Have you seen like ABCs of Death or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like VHS.
No.
They're like horror.
ABCs of Death.
I'm a huge fan, but it's kind of like garbage. It's like schlock. But
You
it
also
sounds.
feel like garbage after you watch
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like, why did
Okay.
I? Why
It's,
did I
it's
watch
sort of like
it?
that where it's like it's supposed to be horror, and it's kind of gross. You feel like ooh, but like it's not scary at any point, and they don't really try. It's sort of like they're not taking it seriously, and they're also like small vignettes, like a little 5 minutes horror thing, and that ends, and a totally different one comes on. Do you feel like Stories Untold is like that?
I feel like it's not quite like that either. Like I think it does a very good job making the atmosphere.
Huh.
But I feel like it never intentionally like sells itself as like I'm gonna be like a game that like really scares you. It's like more subtle.
It's not like is it
It's
like
very subtle,
Doki
though.
Doki or is it?
No.
like-
I feel like Doki Doki gets in your face.
Yeah, eventually. I
Yeah.
guess it kind of like creeps up on you.
So I read about
Doki
Doki Doki
Doki. Oh,
Literature
yeah.
Club. Holy crap!
Welcome to visual novels. Yeah.
It's great listening to people who haven't played through the whole thing, and they're all like, wait, okay, mild spoilers.
Spoiler.
Spoil.
people who are like, oh my god, like yeah, I went after like this girl, like, and like I have all my save states and blah blah, and I'm just like, you just need to play it.
Yeah.
You just need to keep playing it.
Yeah, because whenever people, I forget where I was reading this article, and some person went on is like I wasn't prepared for playing Doki Doki. I recommend not playing the game. I am not the same after playing the game. It's like the content warnings are not enough. I'm like, what is this game about? It's I read about it, and it gets dark quick.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't get dark
There's,
quick,
like,
but
there's,
it gets
like,
dark.
weird things
Yeah.
that start happening, and then there's like even weirder.
It's like a laser.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of pew pew pew. Yeah,
I
maybe
think
somebody
Or the alarm.
or the alarm.
Getting broken
It's
into.
it's past 6, so somebody probably opened up the patio door and.
No.
Yep.
It was, Jason.
So or yeah, or it could be Jason, or some naked guy with a rock. Yeah.
Gotta get you. It wasn't me.
Yeah,
Right,
that's my
Jason.
Halloween costume next year.
It's completely fine when it stays
Just a
in the
copy of the
video
game in your
game, but I
hand.
cannot handle real life horror.
There you go.
I cannot handle real life horror.
Not really. Cool.
No, it's fine. Even if like when I'm playing the game, I feel like I'm in it. Like I'm actually more okay. But once it's like in the real world, it's like no, I can't handle it.
There's
So is this
Yeah.
alarm like really freaking you out now?
Well, like
If it is an alarm.
oh my god, no,
What
the
alarm?
alarm
I
is
don't hear
fine.
alarm.
The alarm is fine.
What's up?
I don't hear anything. What are you guys talking about?
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's
This is where it starts.
Like the hypothetical, like like the situation that happened in a video game could be happening to you right now. It's like no, kill that thought right now.
Killing him dead.
No, that was a game. This is real life. I think.
Okay.
That's
wait,
why
wait. Did I wake up?
Yeah. Is it still true?
No.
there's a game haven't played it. I wanted to, and I completely forgot about it until just this moment. It's like this might sound crazy. It's a game where you're playing an operating system. Like you start like at a computer, and you just have a DOS, and you're just like looking in text windows and clicking on stuff. And then like there's a point where you like step away from the computer, and you have an apartment and an apartment building, and it's much bigger. And it's like that where like you're in the game and you get really immersed in the world of like DOS windows and super generic stuff. And then like someone breaks your window and you step away and then like, oh my god, the game is way bigger, and like, is this real? Like, no, duh, I'm in my computer in my house. But like the moment of the frame shift is like so jarring.
Is this the one where you try to go into the dark web?
Yeah. What's the name of that?
I don't know the name.
Yeah.
But I know,
This
I
is
know
so
it.
helpful.
It's like you're hacking into the dark
Yeah.
web, and if you screw up and someone finds out where you are, they just come to your house and kill you. But the
Yeah.
game
Oh my
doesn't
God.
tell you that.
Oh,
so like
wow.
once you make the mistake, you have like a couple minutes while he's like driving his car and stuff. So like you're just
Holy
typing away, and
crap.
someone just stabs you in the neck, and the
What?
game is like the
Yeah.
real world again. It's like super weird because the game
I
itself.
can never play it and have that moment now. But
Well, no,
Sounds
no,
awesome.
you won't know if it's gonna. It's
When
still
it's
gonna
gonna
surprising.
Yeah,
But, like,
you don't know.
the game also, it's like a low budget simulation of a computer. So you're like, oh, it's a little cheap indie game. And then when like it doesn't sell that there's a real world like an inch out of the screen. So when that happens, it's like so surprising.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
weird.
I think this is
It's like
the whole
a
game.
Five Nights at
Especially
Freddy's
'cause-
kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
You
a
need to take
similar
a name
mechanic.
of that.
Yeah,
I want to play
but-
that.
It's
yeah,
like the,
I'll
like
listen to it.
you kind of think it's one of those like
Chat,
Sarah's
if you
missing
know.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you know
Help
the
me
name.
out.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's like a lot of there's a lot of horror games that take place on like a phone or something.
Yeah.
Like Sarah's Missing or like Simulacra or something like that. Yeah. Like and it felt like it was like gonna be one of those games where it's like okay like the
Yeah.
whole game is like you on this dark web trying to find the dark web on this computer, but then once they break it you're just like holy crap,
Yeah.
it's like not that kind of
And
game.
you get there's a ton of procedural
Yeah.
events. Like it's not always breaking in. Sometimes it's like someone just pounds on your door, and you're like, I have a door, and you can turn
Yeah,
it, and you
you're
have a
like,
whole
what?
house, and now you're like
Oh,
all this
wow.
other space to worry about.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And there's no one at the door when you check it, of course, because it's
Yeah.
that Doki Doki is part of like this genre of games that are kind of horror, but like Doki Doki and Frog Fractions is not horror, but it's like similar. And there's a one with the pony. Doing
Oh,
it.
oh, oh,
You know what I'm talking about? It's like a vector
The
pony
game with the pony.
It's like a pony. It's literally a game with a
Pony
pony. That's like,
Island?
yeah, Pony Island. Where you like
Yeah.
a walking
Oh,
pony.
okay.
Spoilers for Pony Island. But it's like you're a little pony that jumps in your vector arc, and then like as the game proceeds, it starts to break down a little bit, and then opens up, and like there's someone trapped and being tortured in a computer, and like it's like this really dark plot that has a veneer of pony game on it that makes it feel like like you've been pulled away from the initial frame, which is just a little like gets you
Yeah.
comfortable. You know what to expect, and then it gives you something you don't expect, and that's why it's scary. Like,
Who are these devs, man?
Yeah,
Like,
seriously.
thinking stuff
Like,
like
what's your life about, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Doki? So is Doki Doki like a visual
It's
novel?
a visual novel that
Visual novel.
spoilers for Doki Doki.
Oh, I want to play it. Don't
okay.
play it too much.
It's a visual novel that has stuff that you wouldn't expect halfway through. I
Okay.
mean, you knowing that is already enough of a spoiler that the
Alright,
impact's
it's fine.
fine.
Yeah.
But it's on Steam.
Yeah.
It's also free.
Oh, it's free.
Yeah,
And I think that that also
Play it tonight.
Yeah.
There you go.
It affected like your perception
Lowers
of the
your
game
guard.
at first because you're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like another free visual novel,
Yeah.
like
There's probably not
whatever.
much to this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
And
then it.
I want to say
yeah.
it was done maliciously because like the art targets obviously like people who play visual novels. It's
Yeah.
very
Right.
soft and fly, like, oh, we're high school, our little boyfriend, girlfriend, ooh, it's
Yeah,
cute.
like visual novel dating. Scene.
Yeah,
Yeah, and this
Yeah.
is like it just hates you, and
Yeah.
it's so dark, so quick. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Well,
very.
because whenever I was reading it, I read comments of the developer. He's like, yeah, it's like I want to take anime and show them how much I hate anime, and just combine it into a story that's like real and psychologically like terrifying.
It's like I hate anime, so to prepare, I watched a lot of anime.
Right, yeah, exactly. Because like whenever you look at the art, you're like, okay, well, I could see,
Yeah.
that the anime influence,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, like whenever I read it, I was like, wow, this dude hates everything about it. Like, yeah, so it's play it and find me
I'll give you
so
a
we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you too, Chad. If you've played it before, tell us about it. If you have any questions about Schell Games in general or what our devs are playing right now, please feel free to type in your question. You can shout. We won't hear them. But if you type it, that's probably better for all of us. Of what you're thinking about or what questions that you have for us.
And they could shout, just enable voice to text.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It'll come in all caps.
Yeah.
I love your games. Yeah, that's right. Your games are great. Right. So we won't turn into that type of streak. So
Comments
before.
disabled for political
That's right. That's right. Before we went live, somebody talked about Little Nightmares.
Oh yeah.
So
Is that a horror game?
I think it is.
It's got
So-
nightmares in the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
hashtag horror.
Sounds spooky.
So what's Little Nightmares about?
It's about this girl. I don't know. It's this figure in like a raincoat-ish thing, and you're really tiny, and you're like, I think you're trying to escape. You're running through this weird house.
It's very cute. It starts
Okay.
off kind of cute,
Oh,
and
it
like,
starts
like
off really
Tim
cute.
Burton cute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like an orphan. What's it?
Are there like enemies like Tim Burton-esque?
Thinking like,
What's
what
the name
was
of
it,
it
like
again?
Coraline?
Yeah,
It's
it's
They
similar
Little
to that.
Nightmares.
Little Nightmares.
It's like inside, except it has depth to it. It's three-dimensional.
Okay, I think I know what the
Yeah.
game is.
Yeah. But like you're in Raincoat, spoilers for Little Nightmares. I mean, any horror game we're gonna talk about is going to be spoilers.
True.
Yeah, but like you're escaping because you're kept in a cage, and it's very like
Yeah.
environmental story. You're never told what's happening, but you escape through like a doll maker who makes like dolls that are similar to you, and then as you escape, and he's like a giant balloon head with a tiny body and like really long arms. So when you like go hide in an air vent, and this like snake of an arm will crawl down and try and get you, and if
Yeah.
it catches you, he just kind of like grabs you, and then it's scary. But eventually you go to like a butcher shop where it's pretty clear they're like
Yeah.
they're raising you for meat. And like you're starving throughout the game, so like something gives you a sausage and you eat a sausage and you're like, oh, I'm not starving, and then slowly like you know
Slowly
like
you need to find things to eat.
yeah everyone in this world has to eat something, and like you don't see any plants or cows at any point, like but it's still kind of cute throughout.
It's cute, yeah.
Yeah, and they have the tilt shift, like the depth effect, so it still
Blurry
feels like a
background
dollhouse.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
feels very small.
What's that movie that did that? Sweeney Todd? Or what was that? What's that name?
That's the musical
Johnny
with
Depp.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Wait,
Johnny Depp.
with the meat?
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
meat pies.
Oh, I
see.
The
Yeah, the
meat
meat
pies
pies,
happen
yeah.
to be humans the whole time.
Tiny
Oh.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
I've been drunken.
Yeah, I like. Yeah. The Sweeney Todd, Edward Scissorhands. Okay, so we do have a question from Gareth. So, what would your ideal horror experience be? And if you were designing your ideal experience, how would you make it? Okay, so those are two different thoughts there. So, what your ideal horror experience would be, and how you would design, how would you make your ideal horror? So, there's another thing. Like, if there was something that you really wanted to play, like, would you also want to make that?
Yeah, I think like
Yeah, I mean,
my ideal
I think so.
experience, like you can't design that because like I want to be.
You want it to be
I wanna
real.
No, I want to be scared, right? I want to be like terrified for a moment, and like if I could say my ideal experience is this, then I'm already imagining it. So then I'm not gonna be like, oh wow, that's scary. That's kind of unexpected.
Well, if you make it, it's not scary for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's kinda
But
tough.
Cannot
if
be
I
scary.
if I said a game now and someone made that and I played it, it would be like, yeah, okay. But like the stuff that scared me most has sort of been like just a punch like out of left field completely, and I had no idea it was coming. Right, like
Right, but you might like a certain flavor of
Yeah.
a horror experience, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, when I was a kid, I saw Aliens, and that just stuck with me. So like going through like a
Yeah.
derelict ship with like, you know, creepy things crawling on the wall, or like I'm looking at my readout device that's telling me stuff's closing in that I can't see. Like something with that, I think is would be like my ideal kind of horror experience. Just because it resonated with me as a kid, and I've always loved it. You know.
if I could be super idealistic, I'd say like a game where